So we're working on some heat transfer, Plastisol heat transfer. You want me to do it? Oh, him? And so it took some trial and error. They're coming out pretty nice. With the heat transfers, you have to flip your image a little bit. So we've got Wayne over here putting the adhesion powder on. Mario's loading the press up. As always, I'm over there catching the stuff, but how we basically have it set up is, we tried it with the white. I don't know if it was just the white screen in particular, but we did a bunch of tests and it's working just fine with how we're doing this. Is we're printing the red, flashing it, coming back, printing the blue, flashing that as well, and then coming back and printing both of these wet on wet, so it will have something to adhere to, because your ink has to be wet when you apply the powder. And then we've got the conveyor dryer set at a fairly low temperature towards where it's coming out at about 220-ish. Wait, no, actually it might be a little higher than that. Let's see. Just not completely cured. Okay, so we're at right about 270, give or take. All right, we did a little bit of a color change. Got a royal blue. And Mario ruined the screen over there. Mario's slacking on the press. It's operator error. Not putting enough spray adhesive down. Because he's worried that he's going to breathe some of it in. And he's going to go home and go.
I think I'm getting the black lung, Bob. It's not very well ventilated down there.
For Christ's sake, Derek, you've been down there one day. Talk to me in 30 years.
How we have the artwork set up is, this is what the client provided. And it's a 2-color print. As you saw on press, we decided to get rid of the white base. And that's only because we're having issues with the screen. I imagine we probably had the screen get a little too warm with it being summertime, and it just kind of, if it gets too hot, it can distort your image and your screen. But I'll show you how to set it up with a white base, and ultimately we kind of did a little bit of a workaround getting rid of that white base, just because we needed this to get in and out pretty fast. So we have our 2 colors, and we have this set up towards where we got our left chest print and our back print all on one sheet, so you can just kind of trim it and heat press it. I'll show you here in a second how the results of the heat pressing came out. I have my white base on a separate layer. You don't necessarily need to, but this just kind of makes it a little easier to separate things. And you'll notice that there's a little bit of a white stroke here, just to kind of choke the underbase in. I simply did that by adding a white stroke to it. And with the white base, for me personally, I like to make it a color so that way I can see it very well on, you know, if we got our template background off, if this was white, you wouldn't be able to see it. So we have a spot color made right here for our white base, and then the overprint colors, our blue and our red, they're just butt registration. In other words, there's no spread or bleed, as some of you might refer to. There's none of that going on. I do have these colors selected towards where we have overprint fill selected, and you can just go to Windows and Attributes, and that will pull that up, which I just got rid of it. However, just select overprint fill, and we can go over to our separations preview window here. We'll turn CMYK off. And you'll notice when we go to zoom in how this blue looks a little bit darker, and what that is that's just showing us where our white base is. So we do have a little bit of a, not a spread, the color spreads past the underbase because we did end up choking it. And then you do want to flip the image, and you can do that one of 2 ways. Either you can select your image, and then you can go over to your reflect tool and you can flip it like so. However, what we like to do is we'll just go to File and Print, and on Output right here towards the left, Rather than it being up right reading, we'll just select down right reading, and that will just flip the image. So that way, when you're screen printing transfers, you kind of want to print that backwards. In other words, you're going to do your colors first, you're going to flash them, and then you'll put your white base down and then coat it with the adhesion powder. Because our screen was a little off, again, we were just in a little bit of a hurry, we ended up just printing those two colors, flashing them, and then printing them again wet on wet, so that way we have that wet ink to adhere to the adhesion powder. Now let's take a look at the results of how it looks heat pressed onto a shirt. Now I totally forgot to get video of us doing these tests here. The transfers were for Wayne, so we couldn't exactly go through testing a bunch of shirts, but we did a couple of test presses, test heat presses, and they came out really well. But you can see how the finish, because it is heat press, it's a little bit on the shiny side, but also you stretch this thing and man, it's not tearing. Looks great. And I know for a fact Wayne did go back, heat press one of these and do a wash, and he said it'd wash away and it worked absolutely perfect. You can see here when we were doing the white base, and I think our screen for whatever reason was losing a little bit of tension on the white, and you can kind of see the white poking out there just a little bit. So that's the main reason we did end up ditching the white base, because we could have made this work by doing another screen, but with screen printing Plastisol transfers, you know, there's not as much of a profit margin when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. So we just decided to ditch it and flash the two colors, and it worked out perfect. For the sake of just getting this in and out, that was our solution, just doing the two colors, printing them and flashing it a couple times. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate all the love and support. Give this video a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, we'll see you later.